Okay, after a slight intermission, I thought I'd do another video, and instead of continuing with the 2D shoot 'em ups, I thought I'd do something a bit different. I'll go back to those and finish that series off, but as I've been moving house, as you can tell by the intermission video, I managed to find some stuff, and one was this, which was the August 1994 issue of CVG magazine. And I completely forgot I had this. I think it's almost complete. To explain that, probably late 90s or mid 90s. I got rid of a load of magazines, but I kept a load of Jaguar things. So any adverts for a Jaguar game, like Alien vs Predator or Doom or anything like that, I kept them, but I cut them out of the magazines, and it seems that I'd thrown them all away apart from this one. So let's start with it. So I think as almost like a historical item, it's interesting to see what games were coming out, because this is almost the point where 16-bit died off and 32-bit started, and it's well within the era of machines like the 3DO and the CDI and the Jaguar and the 32X, and they were not really, well, they were a bit of a stopgap generation. So what you've got are, Mortal Kombat 2, Super Street Fighter 2, but it's got what it talks about, the Mega 32, which is the 32X. So what have we got here? CS, or Consumer Electronics Show. Was that CS? Can't remember. So what's in the issue? Lawnmower Man, Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter 2, Battle Cores. I thought that came out earlier. So even some Game Boy stuff, Gunship 2000, Work in Progress, Mortal Kombat. Imagine that. So this was the CES show, which is not the same as the one at the front of the magazine, it seems. And this was interesting because this, I think, was when the first demo of the 32X came around. So it calls it the Mega Drive 32X. It's, written slightly different. It's interesting here, they're talking about the Nintendo 64, saying last year it was this 3DO, this time round it's a Nintendo 64 with Project Reality. VR 32, they're calling that. It's a 32-bit system, not an upgrade from the SNES. That's the Virtual Boy. And then we've got Donkey Kong Country, which, if you look at it, you think, oh, this was a game on the new Nintendo 64, but it wasn't. It was a SNES game, and there were 3 of them. I do like the artwork style on this. I don't like CGI sprites very much, but I think with this they got it right. I don't know if it was the colours that they chose or what, but I think it looks cartoony rather than it just looking clinical, like a lot of shoot 'em ups can be. So what else is coming out? Donkey Kong Country, Super Punch-Out, Tetris 2. Did anyone care about Tetris at that point? Not sure. As you can probably tell, I've got a bit of a cold, so I've been recovering over the last week, so excuse me if I have a coughing fit. Lord of the Rings, before it was popular again, Blackthorn, Vortex, Super Effects games. For some reason I thought the Super Effects had been and gone by that point, but I gather not, because that was the first generation of the Super Effects. Street Racer, Jetsons Samurai Showdown, great game. Super Godzilla, I don't think that was quite such a great game. Street Racer, Mickey Mania. Yeah, so the 16-bit machines are still alive, and they've still got a lot to go, a lot to deliver. Midland Bank, that's HSBC. I remember they used to do offers on games and get discount cards and things. Here we go. Sega Strikes Back. After a swig of coffee. It's weird to look at these machines, and I think this is where a lot of the hype comes from. Back in the day, if you were to read this magazine, the 32X looks brilliant, but it's only once you actually see the games play that maybe it's not quite as it seems. And I've just watched Lawn Boys post 1975's video today about the 3DO version of Doom, and he made the comment that a lot of the screenshots show the game as being full screen, and I've just noticed it here. It's full screen. It looks like the PC version, and even the Jaguar version didn't look, quite as good as the PC version. So we've got Star Wars Arcade. That's a great game. Metalhead, yeah, could use the 3D. Virtua Racing, Virtua Fighter, Mortal Kombat. This makes the 32X look really good. I suppose it was for some games, but it's interesting to see you've got Fahrenheit, which was a CD-based game. So they used the 32X just to give a better colour palette and better video compression. But I picked this out. This was interesting. Alien Trilogy. This is what came out on the PlayStation, but it describes here, it says it's one of the first third-party 32X games that make use of the Mega CD. That's interesting, because the only 32X CD games that came out were these kind. It was full motion video. There was never, anything else that made use of it. And thinking about that, you could probably get some very good point-and-click adventure games that used the better colour palette. That's a bit of a wasted opportunity, but there you go. All Quiet on the Sega front. Oh, yeah, so this is the 16-bit games. Dragon's Lair? I don't remember that coming on the Mega Drive. Rainbow Islands. I thought this was this never came out in the UK, but it was a Japanese game. Unless this is just a conversion that was coming out late. Mega CD, Turn to Zork. Gunfighter, Space Ace, Flying Nightmares, Myst. Did any of these come out in the UK? I don't think any of these did. Not even Myst. This was an interesting screenshot. I always forget what it was from, but I think they were saying this is what the next generation would look like. And looking at it then, I wasn't convinced, but I think this is probably Xbox 360 level graphics, so I'm not sure if it was pre-rendered or not. More film licenses. Cannon Fodder. How could you forget Cannon Fodder? So this is the PC version. After they put all the CGI intros and things, so all the CD versions of this game got all the FMV, which wasn't really needed, but there you go. It was a sign of the time. Star Wars Dark Forces. Yeah, this is getting towards the future. This is effectively Doom, but Star Wars. And it's a good game. It's a really good game. There's a whole bunch of sequels. The Dig, Full Throttle. So, yeah, these games are using CDs properly. That they're just, it's like the Full Throttle and The Dig. They're adventure games that were just like the old Amiga ones, but they had more space to store the games. So you have bigger games, more detail, and not FMV, but more things like sound and stuff like that. So I think the PC really got it right and led the way. Streets of Rage 3, I have to admit I've never played this game. I've heard things about it in that it was a bit ambitious for the Mega Drive. They tried to make the sprites like Final Fight and the Mega Drive couldn't really cope with it. But I've never played it, so maybe I should at some point. Yeah, page has been cut out. This is probably a Jaguar advert. 4 new CDIs, different versions. Yeah, that's the controller that looks like a controller, and not something else. More 3DOs. Yeah, I wonder if anyone guessed at this point that that is the future. All this, the CDI 32X, the 3DO, Jaguar, they'll be dead, but when this comes out, they'll be totally irrelevant. And even the Saturn as well, and the N64 later on, these three machines are just, they'd kill everything. This middle generation, it just didn't cut it. It was all to do with CDs, whereas Sony, it was, the PlayStation was a CD machine, but that wasn't the point, it was the 3D machine. Future's so bright, yeah. So this is saying that there's still Mega Drive and SNES games coming out, which, mid-94, it probably had another couple of years with it being a primary machine before the PlayStation really, showed its true colours. It's playtime, more PlayStation. It's quite a short little article on it, and I can't remember whether it got more and more coverage over time, but I think once you started to get these almost arcade quality conversions, it put the rest to shame. Neo Geo CD, Saturn, yeah, so this would be one of the early screenshots from it. Not the best game to show it off with, and even Daytona as well. The PlayStation had Ridge Race when it was texture mapped. It's a shame that Sega Rally wasn't a launch game, because that would have really done well. Super Effects, oh, this is the PC Engine, I forget what it's called, there's something, is it the PCFX? It was almost like a tower, it was a tower version of the PC Engine that had a CD-ROM drive in it, and was a little bit different. It's not a Turbo Duo, I can't remember what was in it. I know GamesBloke's got one of these, he's done a few videos on it, a lot of F&V games on it, but I think it was 32-bit. It was one of those ones that wasn't really supported. Super Game Boy, was this new at the time? I remember buying one of these, I've still got one. So it's really good. You can play all your Game Boy and Game Boy Color games, and some of them even support the adapter, so you get this nice border on it. Yeah, expensive games. Save 20 quid, 60 quid. I mean, I don't know if it was just the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2 made the price of games lower, but I can't imagine paying 60 quid for a game. That's just mad. I don't think I ever did that at the time. Although I think as a kid, you know, you're more willing to trade games in. But there you go. Coming soon, Alien Breed Tower Assaults. Yeah, that's a good game. Alien Breed... I've cut that bit out. Alien Breed CD. Alien Breed CD? I don't remember what that was. I can't remember Alien Breed even coming out on the CD32. There was Tower Assault, and I think that was it. Tiny Toons, Football. Oh yeah, Maximum Carnage. And then there was the sequel. I forget the name of it. That's quite a rare game on the Mega Drive. Super Stardust. What have we got? Yeah, Jaguar, £229. For a fairly new machine, it wasn't badly priced. I mean, compared to the 3DO, which was, you know, nearly triple that. Yeah. Oh, more F&V games. Games based on films. Yeah, I remember Sylvester Stallone in... Oh, what was it called? That's embarrassing. Demolition Man, that was it. There was meant to be a Mega CD version, it never came out. At least not in the West. Robocop, that's a really good game. It's fully 3D. Alien 3, Mega Drive and SNES. I thought that came out earlier. Yeah, Mega Drive and SNES versions are completely different. Universal Soldier. I like this on the Game Boy. It was Turrican 2. It was converted by a UK company called the Code Monkeys, and they converted the first game to the Mega Drive, and it didn't quite feel right, but it was you know, a good enough port. But the second one got the Universal Soldier license, but I think the Mega Drive one's got a bad reputation, but the Game Boy one I actually quite enjoyed because the sprites are so small you can't tell it's not the original Turrican sprite. Wayne's World, Mortal Kombat 2 work in progress. Wow. Blood in the SNES version of Mortal Kombat 2. Yeah, I think this was Nintendo at the time trying to push the SNES as a family-friendly console, and I think that was true with the NES as well, but I think, you know, as people got older, and particularly with the N64, well, I remember Conker's Bad Fur Day. That was definitely not child-friendly, and I think Nintendo didn't like that too much, but it's sign of the times. Mega CDs, boohoo. Yeah, I remember the Mega CD version of the first Mortal Kombat. The loading time, and particularly Shang Tsung, you had to wait for it to load. There wasn't much point in it. Creature Shock. I want to play this. I remember seeing it at the times in betas, and I think it was the CDI version, and it looked really good as an F&V game, so I'll have to try and play that. So if I ever get a CDI at some point, I'll definitely look out for it. Shaq Fu, yeah, not great. Lawnmower Man, yeah, trying to push the Mega Drive, pseudo 3D and all that stuff. NHL 95, yeah, that became the series it was. I think the 95 and 96 versions didn't quite have the reputation of 93 and 94. And again, I've cut something out. Okay, so we've got Legend, never heard of it. SNES, it's advertising, Nintendo Magazine System. Top Gear 2. Top Gear 1 I really enjoyed. It wasn't made by Gremlin. I think it was a different team. I remember the first version. But this one it says is by Gremlin. CD32. Planned. EA Sport Tennis. I don't remember this. It sort of has a feel to, particularly with the images of, photos and stuff that have been digitised. It kind of feels like PGA Golf a little bit. Meet the Crew. I don't remember the CVG team very well. I used to remember Richard Leadbeater, but I think he went to Mean Machines. Theme Park. How could you not have Theme Park on the Amiga? Brilliant game. Really good. I've never played any of the sequels, but I used to have the Jaguar version, and you couldn't save it until you've completed the park and sold it. And I didn't really enjoy that. I didn't like the idea of selling the park. I just want to keep one park and keep building it. 92%. Drop Zone. I think this was originally a C64 game. PC Games Magazine. Yep, you can see how the PC is starting to grow in popularity after Doom and games like that. Super Street Fighter 2. Yeah, SNES and Mega Drive. They were talking about what's different in the versions, but they were saying, it says, despite weighing in at an astronomical 40 megs, the graphics in the Mega Drive are not quite as good as those in the SNES one. All we can say is why. But if I remember correctly, the arcade versions of Street Fighter 2 were 68K CPU, and that's why the Mega Drive version was a lot closer, because they could just port the code rather than rewriting it, whereas the SNES was a complete rewrite. So apparently the SNES version is actually smaller. It has a smaller ROM than the Mega Drive one. There you go. But the SNES version has got a better colour palette. But the music, again, is totally different on the SNES. Like the beats or the rhythm and the melodies is very different than the arcade. 88%. Yeah, it's a good version. I've got that on the Mega Drive. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Empire Soccer, not so sure. Mario Andretti. Yeah, I think this style of racing games was getting a bit long in the tooth at that point. You got 50%. The physics on it's quite interesting because you can spin the car. Battle Cores. I like this game. I've done a gameplay on it. 92%. I'm not sure if it's worth 92%, but it's one of the core design games that really made use of the Mega CD properly. I just found that I think the hood was too big and the angle was a bit too shallow. You can't see where you're going. That was my only problem with it. I'd have preferred a view more like Street Racer or Mario Kart. Cricket, no, not sure. Mega CD Shadow of the Beast 2. I can't remember what the difference to the Mega Drive version was. 34% though, they didn't like it. Sensible Soccer, Mega CD, there's not much difference than the Mega Drive version. It says customization of teams is limited by the free space on your battery backup. I think maybe the Mega Drive had more writable flash memory or battery backup. Little Devil, PC game. I think I might have played the sequel to that once, a long time ago. I quite enjoyed it. I think there was a CD32 version as well. Oh yeah, there was a Ranma, looks like a beat 'em up, 74%, never heard of it. I've heard of Ranma, but I don't know what the game's like. Donkey Kong 94. Yeah, this became the Mario vs Donkey Kong series, so 92%. It's interesting to see that in 1994, the Game Boy is still going strong after all that time. So what were the other ones? You've got Bump and Burn. Yeah, that's like a Mario Kart equivalent for the Amiga. Naughty Ones, never heard of it. Cliffhanger. That looks very different than the Mega Drive version. 16%. What version? What platform is this out on? That's not the Mega Drive version. Amiga. Super Putty. Yeah, I remember that from the Amiga quite well. PC. Actually, most of these are Amiga and PC. Settlers. I can't believe that squashed down to the side. That became a really quite influential series. Sega Magazine. Love this magazine. I've yet to find any scans online of this. I'm tempted to actually go and buy a couple of issues of it, but I really enjoyed this, and this really did, set the scene for the official Sega magazine that really carried the flame of the Saturn all the way through. International Tennis. Is it EA? Is it EA? Don't know. Oh, Infogrames. Again, digitised photographs. It seems to be in sports games. Smash Tennis. Yeah. Typical SNES style. That's probably more fun. Wembley International Soccer. Don't know. Amiga game. Body Blows. This was a good game. It's by Team 17. I haven't played it, but I've heard good things about it. I really should. And it's AJ as well, so I might try and get a it says here there's no other version available, but I think this came out on the CD32. That probably worked well with its controller. Banshee, Amiga 1200, so it's an AGA game. Yeah, it says there AGA, only 256 colours. Yeah, it's a shame there weren't more AGA games that came out, but I don't think the 1200 sold that well at the time. And if you make a game only for the 1200, you're cutting your market down. But there you go. There are some good AGA games. Another World, 3DO. Yeah, I think that version was upgraded a little bit from the original. Bubble and Squeak, Ultraman, Sam and Max, great game. Zul 2, yeah, I enjoyed that on the Jaguar. It's a shame the original didn't come out. Super Metroid, $64.99, that's insane. I know it's a big ROM, but I think it was the first one that was it 25 meg or 30 meg? Which, is pretty big. It's megabit, so you've got to divide it by 8, but it's still a pretty big ROM. Yeah, Streets of Rage 3, $59.99, that's insane. Yeah. Muscle Bomber, SNES, looks like a Neo Geo game, but it's Capcom. So 24 meg, that looks like Mayor Hager, FM Marty, another coin-op version is also available. That would be interesting. 89%. I don't remember this, but it makes sense to reuse characters. Dr. Hauser, this looks like Alone in the Dark. It's a 3DO game. I've never heard of it, although it's got 32%. I'm not sure why they didn't like it. Playability 32, that's probably why. It's probably jerky. Smiths. Now this game. It's interesting to see this review because they describe it as being smooth. They said that, visually it's a really smooth looking game. This game has not aged well at all. I mean, visually it's okay, although it does run in a window, but I just find the frame rate really bad. And it's a shame that they didn't release like a special edition version or a sequel using the Super FX 2 chip, because it ran at twice the clock speed. That's a real shame. Yeah, because it talks about the verdict, although I think the colours have bled a little bit here over the year. It says everything here is smooth, fluidly animated, and there's no slowdown. There is, there is. I'm not sure what the 60 Hz version's like, but I don't imagine it to be significantly different. But I do enjoy the game. It's a good game. I can't be too hard on it. And it was, I suppose it's one of the first proper 3D games that you get on a console. Road Rash on the Amiga. Don't remember the Amiga version of that. Test Drive 3. Yeah, cheapos. It's interesting that the Amiga games are quite cheap compared to the Mega Drive. Leisure Suit Larry. PC, I assume. Yeah, I think there were about 6 games in that series. That was really popular. Rob's Games Amiga, that looks like Bomberman. Mega Man 3. Yeah, the Mega Man games, I remember reading about them, and I think we used to get them a lot later than they came out in the US and Japan, that there'd be a preview of one of them, and then the version, 2 versions behind would come out in the UK. Mean Machines magazine, great magazine. CVG, trying to remember which of these are. I had that one. I don't think I bought it every month. Mortal Kombat 2, that one. Prince of Persia, that seems a bit late. And I think I had these two. I think I stopped buying Mean Machines and went onto the official Sega magazine and then went onto the Saturn magazine after that. I think I stopped buying... I mean, this might have been the last version of CVG I ever bought. Gunship 2000, great game, great game. I still can't play it very well. I think I really owe it to Riddler on YouTube to give it maybe a second go when I've actually practiced it. See, he gave me this game, and yeah, it's a good example of 3D, but it's really hard and you have to read the manual, which unfortunately I didn't. But yeah, this is getting towards the future. Texture mapping, and it becomes a PS1 quality game. Good game. Striker football game, never played it. Robinson's Requiem. This PC was going to be a Jaguar CD game, but I don't think it ever came out. Or did it come out? It might have been one of these post 2000 games where someone got the license and the code and just released it. I have the Storm. Corridor 7. I liked 51%. I like this game. It used an engine a lot like Wolfenstein, but it's really claustrophobic. And it's like it's made out of cubes. And I don't know why, but it increases the claustrophobia. I really enjoyed that game. But I remember at the time, I couldn't find a disc-based version. I didn't have a CD-ROM for the PC. And every version was CD-ROM based, and I just couldn't get hold of it. Although I did play it later. Horde. Remember the name, I haven't played it. Kickoff 3, which wasn't Kickoff. It wasn't Dino Dino. It was a different game. It's kind of like Far Cry now, isn't by the original team. Out now, Floppy, James Bond 3. Yeah, so these are a lot of games that came out on the Mega Drive as well. Wario Land, really good game. I didn't like it at the time. I wanted another Mario game, but over the years, I think it's grown on me. And there's so many secrets in that game. It's like they took everything good from Mario Land 2 and just, doubled it, but without Mario. Zool 2, Amiga CD32, and Amiga 1200, and there was a Jaguar version because I played it. So it's a good game on the Jaguar. It's even got a bit of video in there. Pinball Dreams, that was an Amiga game, I think, the first version. There's Pinball Dreams, Pinball Fantasies. I haven't played this one. Outrunners. Yeah, this was an import. I don't think this came out in the UK. It's a conversion of the arcade game, but whilst the original Outrun, there wasn't that much difference between the hardware on the arcade and the Mega Drive. Although it wasn't arcade perfect. By this point, the arcade was just so much further in advance that it was either System X or System Y. The Mega Drive version just didn't look good. Never played, so I remember that photo. Well, image rather. Ivor Beholder, good game. Didn't realise there was a SNES one. Jungle Book, original NES. Yeah, so there's still NES games coming out. I don't know. I don't remember many places stocking NES games at this point. I remember Smiths used to sell them. Ultima, The False Prophet. Is that Ultima 4? SNES. I can't remember. It might be Ultima 4. Hulk. Never played it. Ultimate Soccer. No. Oh, Knights of the Round. That rings a bell. I think I saw gameplay of that recently. Gunfighters Lethal Enforcers 2 rather. Yeah, this was a good game. There was a Mega Drive Mega CD version. It came with, a gun. This was when the laws were changed that you can't have a realistic firearm as a toy. So that's why they coloured them blue and pink, and that's why the Saturn gun looks really cartoony, like the Virtual Cop gun. So I'm sure that someone had one in the street and was shot. There was something like, there was a news story and everything changed. But it's a good game. What's this? Demolition Man, Pinball. We probably want to play. Yob. I don't remember Yob. I remember Mean Yob, but I suspect this is because Mean Machines came from CVG, so probably just changed the name. Yeah, I like the cartoons. Cultural Desert. Legendary Man Returns. Mortal Kombat 2, Street Fighter 2. Yeah, I'm not sure what that's in. You probably can't read it from the camera anyway. Digital fitness. Oh, okay, these are previews. Is that Evander Holyfield? No, Muhammad Ali, boxing. Yeah, I played a few of them on the Mega Drive. Oh, what's this? 3D. No second prize. I remember this on the Amiga being the 3D game. It was quite impressive. It's kind of like your hard driving style. Speedball 2, Amiga Mega Drive, Master System. Wow. Oh no, this is group test. No, these games have been out for a while. Got PGA 2 as well. Yeah, lets you plug 4 pads into your SNES for Bomberman. Editors, yeah. Yeah, this was interesting. There was a guy asking, should I get a CDI or should I get an expansion card for the PC, which is really just an MPEG-1 card? Yeah, that's a good question. I think he would have been better investing in the add-on for his PC, but I think DVD was only another 4 or 5 years away. I think the first time I saw a DVD was about summer 1998. So, you know, video CD wasn't really a great investment at that point. I was very suspicious of DVD when it first came out, but, you know, it became what it was. PC or not PC? Yeah, the Amiga had Commodore gone bust at this point? I think it was just about to go bust, and the PC, I mean, it talks about, you know, 486DX2, 66 megahertz. You could have games like Magic Carpet, and yeah, you could see the Amiga was on its way out, which is a shame because, you know, there were a lot of really good games that came out even after that, and then you got games like Gloom, PC Engine. Yeah, they were talking here about, it says, the question was about the colours looking wrong. It says that the PC Engine was not designed for an RGB system. No one was spoken to has been able to convert the machine internally so it works with RGB. Now, when you look at machines on eBay now, a lot of them are RGB converted, so maybe someone figured it out. But as far as I know, there are RGB mods that look perfectly fine. Memory card filled up, so let's get back to the plot if there was one. So this is asking about the 32X and is it compatible with the Mega CD. But it's interesting there that, you know, they call it the mushroom. But it says here, Sega isn't telling if there are any new Mega CD titles in development for the 32X, which is kind of weird because if you go back, where is it? The article, this one, it's talking about Fahrenheit, which is a 32X CD game. So it's kind of odd that Sega won't announce it, but anyway. Yeah, so that's what that was. Hints and tips, Wolfenstein on the SNES. Tracer. Crescent Galaxy, Trevor McFur. I was tempted to pick that up for my shoot 'em up series, but I can't bring myself to do it. I used to own that game and I did not like it at all. Okay, we've got Mega CD RAM. So this is like your Saturn cartridge, so you've got your internal save games, but you know, if the battery goes, you're in trouble. That's quite useful to have. I've only ever seen one of those for sale once. Joypad charts. So what are the charts in mid-1994? All formats: football, 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 virtual racing. That's a good game. I'm surprised that's so high because it's expensive. Wario Land, football, football, SimCity. It's a classic. Arcade Pool. Doom, Cannon Fodder, great, yeah, classics, all of them. Skid Marks and Rock and Roll. I forgot they were by different developers. I tend to confuse the two. Pack Attack, never heard of that one. Manchester United, Elfmania, it's like a role play, isn't it? Judgment Rights. This is what the Mega CD should have been doing, these kind of games. Miss Pac-Man. I think this is why I had a bit of resentment for sports games, because it used to dominate everything. I mean, playing them, well, I did a video on it a few months ago. I don't mind sports games, I think it was just there were so many of them, but then again, you know, I used to like platformers, and people were getting sick of those, and you know, people are getting sick of first-person shooters now. So, Chart Attack, Mega CD Mortal Kombat, that's not a good version. you better just with the Mega Drive one. Ground Zero Texas, good game. I have got that. I'll have to do a gameplay. NHL 94. Yeah, that was a good example of a Mega Drive game that was actually enhanced with the CD. Lethal Enforcers, WWF Rage in the Cage. I'm tempted to play that now. I do own that game, I've just never put it in the machine. It came with it when I bought it second hand years ago, and I could never bring myself to play it. Although I did used to play the Mega Drive one. I had to give it a try. Master System Mortal Kombat. Yeah, all of these are conversions from the Mega Drive apart from Sonic Chaos, which is a really good game. I prefer that to Sonic 2. On the Master System NES, Kirby, yeah, these are your staple Nintendo titles apart from Days of Thunder. Game Gear, yeah, similar to the Master System. Mega Drive, World Cup, USA 94, Virtual Racing, PGA European Tour, quite enjoyed that. FIFA, yeah, say no more, say no more. Macintosh, yeah, just like the PC. Myst, good game. SNES, FIFA, World Cup 94, Pack Attack. Maybe I should look into that. That seemed to be popular. Rock and Roll Racing, World Cup Soccer, Wario Land, yeah, Mario Land 2. I think some of these games must have stayed around in the charts for a long time. I mean, Zelda Link's Awakening and Mario Land 2, they were years old. Amiga Top 5, Kickoff 3, Sensible Soccer, yeah. So it's like the top 3 are always sports games. Beneath Still Sky, really good game. Good use of the CD. CDI, Seventh Guest, I haven't played that, it's one of the first F&V games. Playboy Complete Massage and Star Trek 4. These must be, it must be grouping CDI films, so your MPEG-1 video CD, it must be grouping those with games. Ghost widescreen, so yeah, these are Top Gun, these are films. Bizarre. So it's saying Seventh Guest is the only game that was selling, the rest were films. PC Doom, yeah, SimCity, Kickoff 3, I didn't know that was out on the PC. SimCity 2000, I've never heard of Pacific Air War. Flight sim game. 3DO, I think this is the third. Oh, yeah, this is the roadshow they did. I think this is the third advert in the magazine. Next month, the big one. Flashback. Don't know what that one is. There. F&V from some game. And that's not saying much. So yeah, Donkey Kong Country, Flashback. Really good 16-bit games. Zool 2. And more Jaguar stuff. I'm not sure why I didn't cut this out. And that's it. Jelly Boy. I've seen that. That looks so wrong. I've seen this game before, I've just never played it. It reminds me of Super Putty a little bit. So that's it. So that's probably about an hour covering the magazine. But hopefully that'll give you a bit of an insight into what games were like and how magazines were treating them in 1994. A big transition period. And I think, I've been seeing some videos by Retro Balls and Retro Sofa, and they were looking at CVG, but particularly Retro Balls was looking at Edge magazine, and it's interesting to see how these more traditional magazines, there was kind of like a handoff between these and what Edge became, which was seen as a bit pretentious at the time, but I think that's just the way the industry went. Yeah, so good times, some good games, and there are a whole bunch in here that I've not heard about before, so maybe it's worth looking into them. Right, so I'll leave it there. Hopefully my cold doesn't last much longer and I can get back to doing some more gameplay videos. So thanks for watching.